feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Brian Giles with Brian Giles MTG. And we're back with more Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoilers. So, first up is Uchbenbach, the Great Mistake. A blue, a black, and 3 for a 6/4 legendary skeleton horror with vigilance and menace. Has descend 8. Pay a blue, a black, and 4. Turn Uchbenbach, the Great Mistake, from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Activate only if there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard or only as a sorcery. So this cares about cards that are in your graveyard. That's what the descend mechanic is all about. And finality is accounted since, if it would die, exile it instead. It makes it more of an evergreen mechanic because it's used a lot. So next up we have the Myco Tyrant. It's a black, a green, and 1 for an XX legendary creature, Elder Fungus. Has trample. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control that are fungi and or saproling. At the beginning of your end step, create X 1/1 black fungus creature tokens. This creature can't block, where X is the number of times you have descended this turn. So that just means that, however many times permanent cards have been put into your graveyard from anywhere. Next up, we have Geological Appraiser. So 2 red and 2 for a 3/2 human artificer. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, discover 3, which means you exile non-land cards from the top of your library until you exile a card with mana value 3 or less. You can cast it without paying its mana cost. Everything else goes onto the bottom of your library in a random order. So, free spell. We have Hit the Motherlode, a beefy 3 red and 4 for a source that reads Discover 10. If the discovered card's mana value is less than 10, create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the difference. Yikes. So if you pull a 1 on this, oh look, I got 9 treasure tokens. Yeah, this could be a fun card to play in like dragon decks and stuff like that, where you need to get a lot of ramp going. So hoo-ha. Next up is a kind of weird artifact in the Enigma Jewel. Single blue mana for a legendary artifact that enters the battlefield tap it, add 2 colors, and spend it only to castivate abilities. Now, you can craft this with 4 more non-lands and paying a blue and 8, which is kind of beefy, 9 mana, and 4 artifacts. But it's artifacts that can be in your graveyard as well. So it flips over to the Locus of Enlightenment, which is a legendary artifact, and it has the activated abilities of the cards you use to craft it, the exile artifacts. You may activate each of those abilities only once each turn. Whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's just wild. Then we have Jade Light Spelunker, which is a green and X for a 1/1 Merfolk Scout. When it enters the battlefield, it explores X time. Now, to have it explore, you reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put X. Put a 1/1 counter on that creature and put the card back or put it into your graveyard. So if it's not a card that you really need right now, or a card that you want in your graveyard, you just put it into your graveyard and go on to the next one. So you can beef this guy up a lot. Putting as much lands in your hand as possible and choosing how to sort out your deck. Next up, we have Spyglass Siren. Blue mana for a 1/1 Siren Pirate with flying. When it enters the battlefield, create a map token. Next up is Souls of the Lost. Now, black and 1 for an X and an X+1 spirit. Additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, or sacrifice a permanent. Souls of the Lost power is equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to 1, that number plus 1. Next up is Synod Scout, a green mana for a 1/1 Merfolk Scout. It enters the battlefield, you explore. So that's kind of fun. Next up is an interesting artifact that I think is going to gain a lot of traction, especially in your Tron decks or your artifact decks. Spring-Loaded Sawblades is a white and 1 for an artifact with flash. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target tapped creature and opponent controls. You can craft it with an artifact for a white and 3, and it transforms into Blade Wheel Chariot, which is a 5/5 artifact vehicle. You can tap 2 other untapped artifacts you control and it becomes an artifact creature till end of turn. Or you can crew it for 1. This thing is incredibly versatile, incredibly powerful. So you can bring it in on turn 2. By turn 4, you can flip it. And you can tap other artifacts, or you can crew it for 1 and have it become a 5/5 vehicle. That's not bad at all. I consider that high value. Next up, we have Cavernous Maw. Another cave land. Tap it to add a colorless mana, or pay 2. Cavernous Maw becomes a 3/3 elemental creature till end of turn. It's still a cave land. Activate only if the number of other caves you control plus the number of cave cards in your graveyard is 3 or greater. So he cares about the cave lands that you have. So caves are gonna be a kind of a thing here. Next up is Cosmium Confluence. So this is a green and 4 for a sorcery that reads, you can choose 3, you can choose the same mode more than once. You can search your library for a cave card and put it onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. Or put 3 +1/+1 counters on a cave you control, becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. Or destroy target enchantment. Now, you can choose any of those more than once. So you can put 3 +1/+1 counters on a cave 3 times. That means it can become a 9/9 creature for 5 mana. Yeah. Or you can search your library 3 times for cave cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Uh-oh, that's ramp. Or you can destroy up to 3 target enchantments, or any combination of those. So that's a banger powerhouse of a card. You have Intrepid Paleontologist. For a green and 1, you get a 2/2 human druid. Tap it to add a mana of any color. Or pay 2, exile target card from a graveyard. You may cast dinosaur creature spells from among cards exiled with Intrepid Paleontologist. If you cast a spell this way, it enters the battlefield with a finality counter on it. We discussed finality earlier as being, the evergreen version of if it would die, exile it instead. Then we have Claveleno, First of the Blessed, one of the vampires. So a white, a black, and 1 for a 2/2 vampire, legendary vampire cleric. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature that isn't a demon, attacking vampire that isn't a demon becomes a demon, in addition to its other types. Whenever this creature dies, draw a card that create a tapped 4/3 white and black vampire demon creature with flying. As you can see, this is going to become. This is one of the commander decks. So we're going to get a vampire demon deck. That's going to be ugly. Then we have Admiral Brass Unsinkable. Admiral Beckett Brass. So another one of the commander deck cards. A blue, black, a red, and 2 for a 3/3 human pirate. When it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may return target pirate creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. It has base power and toughness of 4/4, and it gains haste until end of turn. That's powerful. Bring back the pirates. Make them all 4/4s. Okay, then we have Hackball, Surging Soul, a green, blue, and 2 for a 3/3 legendary Merfolk Scout. Being combat in your turn, each Merfolk creature control explores. So you either get a land or a +1/+1 counter. So hoo-ha. When it attacks, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you don't, draw a card. That's banger. That's a great commander for those that play that set. So then we have Pantlaza Sunfavored. A red, a green, a white, and 2 for a 4/4 legendary dinosaur. When it enters the battlefield, or another, when it or another, Pat Law's the sun favorite or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, discover X, where it discovers that creature's toughness. So if you're playing with dinos, non-land cards, free spells. Yeah, bring out something like this guy. Gishath, Sun's Avatar. So red, green, and white 5 for a 7/6 dinosaur avatar, vigilance, trample, and haste. It deals combat damage to a player. Put that many cards on the top of your library. Reveal that many cards from the top of your library. Put any number of dinosaur creature cards from among them onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So hoo-ha. Next up, we have Deep Cavern Bat. This card is just banger. Listen to what this card does. It's a black and 1 for a 1/1 bat, but it has flying and lifelink, which is fun. When it enters the battlefield, look at target opponent's hand, exile a non-land card from it until he leaves the battlefield. So you get an imprison ability from people's hand. Oh, you got that powerful card in your hand? Oh, I'm just gonna exile it and imprison it with it. So, hoo-haw. So we have Bartolome del Presidio. This is an interesting card because a white and a black for a 2/1 legendary vampire knight. Sacrifice another creature or artifact and put a +1/+1 counter on Bartolome del Presidio. And there's no tapping in there, so you can keep sacrificing and keep sacrificing. So any type of token deck, this thing would pair well with. It would also pair well with the the god that triples your tokens. So you got a token outline, and of course that god is in white, which would fit well with this. Next up, we have Command Tower, and this is the Jurassic Park version. And that's a land you can add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Whoops, well, we skipped a little bit. So we'll go back and we'll go Treasure Map. So 2 mana for an artifact that reads, pay 1, tap it, scry 1, put a landmark counter on Treasure Map. There are 3 or more landmark counters on it. Remove the counters, transform Treasure Map, and create 3 treasure tokens. Okay, that sounds fun. Let's go to the transformed side, which is Treasure Cove. Tap it, add a colorless mana, or sacrifice it to draw a card. Then we have Chart a Course. Blue and 1 for a sorcerer reads, draw 2 cards, discard a card, unless you attack this turn. That sounds fun. And here's another one of the Jurassic Park cards. Life Finds a Way. Green and 2 for an enchantment that reads, whenever a non-token creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, populate. Which means you create a token of a copy of a creature you control. So we're at 20 minutes. We're going to say, hoo-ha, see you on the next video.